this week.
I think that one needs water.
Police rescue puppies inside a hot bag after officers say they saw a woman selling them illegally. Plus, pop star Justin Timberlake arrested on Long Island and charged with driving while intoxicated. And
boom, he comes, we caught him, spot him, got him.
Caught on camera, residents cheering as members of the community pin down an alleged child rapist. Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. Here are the crimes across the 5 boroughs. We begin in Astoria, Queens, where Darius Gilbo was murdered 2 years ago. Now the son of rapper Remy Ma has been charged with first-degree murder in this case.
A 23-year-old Jason Scott has been arrested in connection to a murder in Queens that dates back to 2021. Investigators are looking into the possibility that it was a murder for hire.
All right, Fox 5's Teresa Priolo joins us live from Astoria where the victim lived. Teresa, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Steve and Natasha, residents I spoke to here, they didn't know the victim, but they do know who Remy Ma is, and they're telling us that they hope her celebrity doesn't play into this case. Tonight, we are learning that that victim was allegedly killed by Remy Ma's son, Jace Scott. So here's what we know at this hour. 23-year-old Scott was arrested today on first-degree murder and weapons charges. It's unclear if he pulled the trigger or if he hired the hit that took the life of Darius Gilbo, who lived here at the Ravenswood houses in Astoria. The crime occurred nearby in broad daylight back in 2021. Gilbo took hits to the head and to the chest. Gilbo had an extensive criminal history. 8 months before he was killed, he was indicted in a massive drug trafficking operation. As for Jace Scott, he appeared alongside his mom, Remy Ma, in the hit show Love and Hip Hop. She's one of the biggest names in hip hop and has been since 2006. She also has something of a lengthy rap sheet and has done 6 years in prison on a gun crime. But none of that mattered to the folks that we talked to here in Astoria.
It doesn't matter if it's a celebrity or not. If you commit a crime, you're supposed to be paid for the crime you committed.
It could be anybody. It doesn't matter. You know, if they're, their mother's famous or father's, it doesn't matter.
We got the police station on the corner, we got sanitation, so not too many things happening here. They happen around here, but not in here. It's really difficult.
We received a statement from Remy Ma's attorney about Jace Scott. That came in late this afternoon. They said that Remy Ma hoped to publicly address this. She's been advised not to, so they told us, quote, nevertheless, Remy Ma is committed to proving Jason's innocence and supporting her child during this time. We stand by Jason's innocence and hope the NYPD will conduct a complete and thorough investigation to reveal the truth. Now, back out here live, we should also tell you that a second man, a man by the name of Richard Swigert, was also arrested and charged with murder and weapons charges. Steve and Natasha, it's unclear what led to this, if there was any relationship between these guys before this murder happened. We can tell you that we are expecting Scott to be arraigned early next week.
We now go to Flushing, Queens, where members of the community pinned down the alleged child rapist that attacked 2 teens last week. The suspected attacker is now in police custody.
Christian Giovanni Ingolandi is walked out of the Queens Special Victims Unit in Forest Hills. Police say he is the man who raped a 13-year-old girl in Casina Park last week.
Rapist for you guys!
About 3 miles from the crime scene in Corona, residents there recognized him from the neighborhood. They say they all waited for him at this bodega on 108th Street where he often went before attacking him.
Boom, he comes, we caught him, spot him, got him.
We just happened to see the suspect, and we acted accordingly.
I need to do something because it's just not right, and I got 2 little sisters. I'm about to have a daughter, and that's just not right.
He a rapist!
Here, we found that the community was holding our perp. At the time, the community was trying to hold the perpetrator, waiting for the police. He fought with them, and the community still managed to hold on to him until we got there.
Police say tips came in through social media that mentioned his name and Facebook account, which had pictures of the same clothes he wore the day of the crime and had images of his tattoo. While in custody, Ingolandi also identified himself in video they showed him.
The perpetrator has made statements after waiving Miranda rights where he indicated that he has a drug problem, that he found the knife that he used to threaten the two teens, that this was the first time he had ever done anything like this.
The NYPD says he approached a 13-year-old girl and 13-year-old boy with a knife at around 3 p.m. on Thursday and forced them into the woods of Casina Park. He tied them up, raped the girl, and told them to stay there for 20 minutes before taking off with their cell phones. Angela Soretti says as a woman, hearing the traumatizing story, she was triggered, and her first instinct was to attack.
He was like, let me explain, let me explain. There was nothing to explain, because at the end of the day, what is there to explain? He was more so like trying to get forgiveness from us, but it was no forgiveness to be given. Do you understand?
Over in Harlem, a stolen car with a 1-year-old girl inside was recovered Tuesday morning by police.
It was just very frantic, very scary, and it was very quick.
With just 2 days to go until her 5-year-olds graduate, Chloe Day School principal Dr. Sanayi Beckles-Canton says she was talking to a father this morning at drop-off about all the pomp and circumstance when suddenly parents and teachers started screaming.
We all was shaking. The school was upset. He was upset. We were all, we went outside. We had teachers asking people, did you see the car?
In less than a minute, a thief had jumped into the man's double-parked red Honda Pilot and drove off. The father's 1-year-old little girl still strapped in her car seat.
With video, we do see a male lurking across the street, takes advantage of the car running and jumps in the car.
Using a phone left inside the car, cops say they were able to track the vehicle shortly after it left 300 West 134th Street. Police say the suspect answered the phone when they called it. He told cops where he was and that he was sorry. Officers eventually caught up to him and made the arrest 60 blocks away at East 72nd and 1st Avenue. Police say 34-year-old Jakiri Grant faces a number of charges, including grand larceny of a vehicle and kidnapping.
It's a little shocking. It's not safe out here. It's not even safe for me to walk down the street.
This was the second time in 2 days where a car was stolen with a child inside. On Sunday, a 6-month-old boy was found safe in a minivan that was stolen after a suspect found it running outside a bakery in the Mott Haven section. Police, though, say today's incident was a bit more intense.
The concern, besides being in the car, was also if we didn't find her fast, the weather was going to get warmer today, and we didn't want a situation where a baby was left in the car with the heat.
Dr. Beckles-Canton describes the father who made this mistake as a loving dad who always takes care of drop-off and pickup at this day school for his 2 kids. She said today he was simply distraught.
Down in Far Rockaway, puppies have been rescued after NYPD officers say they saw a woman illegally selling them out of a hot bag.
Please help me.
For another box for another indicator.
5 puppies helped in the nick of time, saved before they suffocated to death, inside of a pink backpack on Beach Channel Drive in Far Rockaway.
I think that one needs water.
The pit bull puppies piled one on top of each other, gasping for air and desperate for water.
She came out and another individual stopped her. She asked her, she said, what a nice dog, what a cute puppy. What are you doing with it? And she said, I'm selling them. And went further into saying, I have the rest of them in the bag.
Rookie officers Lucas Push and Brian Chan were first on scene. They heard 44-year-old Shirley Medina talking about selling the dogs. When they saw the bag, they called for backup, and Officer Glickman arrived.
I tried my best to open up the top of the bag, and this tiny little snout came through the top of the bag. Couldn't get the rest of it open, took my knife, cut the bag open, and that's when 5 other puppies came flooding out.
Medina was seen walking around the Dollar General before this happened. Chris Pimentel was on duty.
I turned my head. There's some woman just selling puppies out her purse for like 500, 600. I'm like, yo.
Saving these lives was a matter of intuition and timing. As dog lovers, these officers feel grateful they could intervene.
Our job is to serve and protect, and I feel like that day we protected the lives of the puppies.
The puppies are now with the ASPCA. The officers hope to adopt them, but despite the fact that they rescued them, they aren't given priority. The officers need to apply for adoption just like everybody else. But if they do get them, they say they already have names picked out.
Red for the Redfern houses. We have Pinson, which is the street right here, and Horton, which is this block right here. And then for the 3 female puppies, we have Sandy for the beach, being that we're here in Far Rockaway. We have Mona Lisa, which is the name of one of the witnesses that helped us find the puppies to begin with. And then we also have Faith, and that's the runt of the litter.
As for Shirley Medina, she was charged with torture of an animal and neglect of an animal. 1 count for each puppy that was inside of that bag, as well as criminal possession of a weapon for having brass knuckles inside that backpack. She was released on her own recognizance.
We now go to the Inwood section of Upper Manhattan, where 2 men were killed and a 3rd hospitalized, following an overnight shooting near a subway station.
The crime scene tape went up at 10th Avenue and West 206th Street Sunday night, just before midnight. In these surveillance videos we obtained from sources, you see the gunman come out from behind a parked vehicle, assume a shooting stance, and the flash of the first bullet fired. From another angle, you see him aim at two men on the street. He fires multiple shots.
Scary that it happened like that. People just getting killed and dying on the street.
The NYPD says a 44-year-old man was shot once in the face and later died at Harlem Hospital. A second man, 40 years old, was shot once in the chest and killed. A third man, who was 37 years old, was shot in the leg. People here are now even more worried about what's going on.
Very concerned about safety. People don't want to go outside anymore. It's really bad for business.
I believe that it's getting out of hand. The amount of violence that is surging in this neighborhood is like going back to the 80s when I was a little girl growing up in this neighborhood.
The deadly shootings happened right near the 207th Street No. 1 train station and close to busy bus routes. It's an area many who live and work here use daily, but now they're having second thoughts.
Very concerned, especially when you have family members. Everybody walks around the street. It could be, maybe they were a target, I don't know. But it could be a shooting. Anybody could be hit.
God forbid, you're walking around with your family, all of a sudden that happens. People also confuse you sometimes, kill you, it's bad.
Back in Elmhurst, Queens, a man was arraigned on criminal charges following a traffic stop, where police say they found an arsenal of weapons in his vehicle.
Wednesday, the NYPD put their latest weapons seizure on full display, following an early morning arrest, as New Yorkers can't help but take notice.
Scary, man. You would never expect that. You would think like you're in a rough neighborhood.
He had all of that on him, and it's like, what are you suited for? Like, this is kind of insane.
This pair of uniformed officers were in an unmarked car patrolling the area near 86th Street and Ditmars Boulevard, addressing recent robberies. It's just 1 block away from where 2 NYPD officers were shot by a man on a scooter on June 3rd. They spotted the driver, 27-year-old Judd Sanson, with blacked out plates. And after a little digging, the NYPD says they found lots and lots of weapons inside that SUV, including a 9mm Glock, 9 loaded magazines, heavy body armor, handcuffs, 2 axes, a stun gun, multiple knives, along with a weighted whip.
Arrests of this magnitude, the amount of ammunition, NYPD paraphernalia in the car was significant.
It's still unclear how the suspect got the transit gear or the NYPD gear, but the license plate covers were a dead giveaway, a part of a bigger trend. 683 ghost vehicles with obstructed plates seized so far this year by the NYPD. 2,875 paper plates also taken off city streets.
Shootings, robberies, burglaries, home invasions. Their method of transportation is a vehicle, sometimes stolen vehicle, and I would say about 80% of the times they have a license plate cover.
They got something to hide that they have to cover the plate or something like that,
Even though the massive arsenal was taken down by police, the fact that there was an arsenal at all
Makes you feel unsafe a little bit, that somebody like that is in the neighborhood.
Sanson is facing a long list of weapons charges while police try to get to the bottom of what his intentions were.
All over Manhattan and New Jersey, cell phone thefts are spiking. In New York, at least 4 times recently, thieves on mopeds have snatched phones right out of people's hands.
It's apple picking season in Hoboken. That is a time when thieves are taking advantage of unsuspecting visitors and residents and stealing their iPhones when they least expect it.
In Europe, I was there recently and my friend got her phone stolen there too, but I've never heard it here. I felt like we're safe.
In Hoboken, this has been a problem for months. Sometimes it happens when bar patrons get up to dance. In others, they put their phone on a table to talk to a friend. It's such an issue in this city, they put up signs warning bar patrons to be on alert.
To our knowledge right now, there's groups of people out there that are bringing them most likely back to a central location, and the phones are either being sent elsewhere or sold.
It's happening in New York City, too. At least 4 times recently, brazen thieves on mopeds snatched phones right out of hands as New Yorkers were walking by. In other incidents, the victims were riding on the subway. 1 minute they're on their phone, the next the phone is gone. There are Reddit threads dedicated to it and TikToks devoted to it.
Your whole life, especially now, is in our phone. So, I mean, we just want to safeguard.
And speaking of safeguards, there are a few things you can do to protect your phone, including turning on Apple's new tool called Stolen Device Protection. Here's Lance Ulanoff to explain.
It makes it so they have to use the thief. If they got your phone and if maybe they even knew your passcode, they would still need Touch or Face ID to do many of the things they would try and do, like, for example, wiping out your whole phone and starting over again.
It is best to have everything backed up to the cloud. That way, if your phone is stolen, your photos and videos aren't lost forever. But you're still in for a headache attempting to keep those bad guys away from your sensitive data.
And finally, we leave the city for Long Island, where Grammy Award-winning artist Justin Timberlake was arrested in the Hamptons on charges of driving while intoxicated.
A first look at Justin Timberlake's mugshot after he was arrested for allegedly driving drunk on Tuesday morning. He told police, "I had one martini and I followed my friends home." But according to court documents, he had bloodshot and glassy eyes, smelled like alcohol, and performed poorly on all field sobriety tests.
Anyone can make a mistake, but he should have known better.
Surveillance video shows Timberlake behind the wheel of his gray BMW right before he was pulled over. Police say he ran a stop sign at Madison Street and Germain Avenue, and he couldn't stay in his lane.
They'll stop you at the drop of a hat out here. They're very, very strict. They won't let him get away with anything, even if he's a celebrity.
In today's day and age with technology and Uber, and especially someone like Justin with unlimited resources, there's no excuse to get behind the wheel.
Sources say Timberlake was coming from the American Hotel. It's a hot spot in the village of Sag Harbor, and it's also where singer Billy Joel was on Tuesday for lunch. Timberlake isn't the first celebrity under the spotlight in the Hamptons. In 2003, Joel swerved off the road and crashed into a tree.
Judge not, lest ye be judged.
News of the arrest spread quickly through what's normally a quiet village 100 miles east of New York City. The hotel Timberlake was at is next to the court where he was arraigned and pleaded not guilty. It's also across the street from his attorney's office.
I was staying at the American Hotel, and apparently he was there. You would think this guy has a driver. He's so famous.
I was surprised he'd be driving his own car in one respect. Yeah, and everyone really has to take accountability for their own actions.
And that's this week's Crime in the City. Subscribe for more at youtube.com/Fox5NY.